What's up, Dolphin fans? Breaking news here. Welcome to Finn's Faithful. Jaylen Waddle is being traded. What does it mean to the Denver Broncos for a 1, a 3, and a 4? And we have to give up our pick 111. They did this awesome move by the Dolphins. I actually support this move. This is a move um, I was open to. He was somebody who I noticed John Eric Sullivan in his introductory press conference or when he sit down with Travis Wingfield sat there and didn't mention him initially, but man, I'm excited about this. I think this is a smart move. The Dolphins are now loaded up on draft picks. Let's bring up here's the current Dolphins 2026 draft picks. They have 11. They added number 30. They have 43, 75, 87, 90, 94. They picked up 130. They gave away 111, 151, 227, 238. Wow. Two number ones, one, two, three, four number threes. This is a team that's going to be looking to rebuild through the draft. John Eric Sullivan, man, his first big move. Guys, I'm curious in the chat. What do you guys think? Come on, join us. It was an impromptu can't pass deal. Absolutely not. I said the first thing I said with these two guys, with Waddle and even with Achane, is if it starts with the 1, I'll consider it. Waddle was the guy I would like to move first if we got to move between the two. It's sad to see Waddle go, but 7 picks in the top 100 is absolutely monumental for this franchise. Absolutely. 7 picks in the top 100, 2 number ones. And it's funny, Thursday, we're doing our scouting report of wide receivers at the combine for our draft prospects. And boy, that position just became a lot more interesting in the NFL draft. We get into that. We'll get into what it means for the Dolphins here next. Is there anybody else on the move? But man, Denver Broncos, again, we get a number 1, pick 30, a 3rd round pick and a 4th round pick, but we're giving away our 111. We got to give our 4th back. So essentially a 1 and a 3 and a swap in the 4th round. Fantastic value for Jaylen Waddle. Absolutely fit. I didn't think they'd get anything close to that for Jaylen Waddle. So absolutely fantastic. And we'll try to get. I might try to get some guests, see if I can get anybody pop in here. This is an impromptu kind of live. Appreciate everybody joining. I was also working on something else, and this thing came up. So appreciate you guys. What do you guys think in the chat? Shout out. Let me know. Join us in the chat. Let me know what you guys think of the deal. Wow. Surprise. He went to work. So what does this mean now in the room? What's the current wide receiver room look like for the Miami Dolphins? Right? They started, now they had Tyreek Hill last year and Jaylen Waddle. Now they're looking at Malik Washington, Jalen Tolbert, Ty Washington, Terrence Marshall Jr. Clearly a position they're going to address in the draft. So that's going to be fun. George, I think this means that we might draft Bryce Lane at 30, and it's easier to draft a receiver over the past few years. Yeah, we're going to get into the receiver stuff. This is a perfect draft to load up, and I have a question for you guys. Okay? Check out our poll question, too. I have a question for you guys. Do you think this opens the door at wide receiver possibly at number 11? Is that a possibility? Okay, because if we're looking at 11, we're staring 11 at the face. Let's say, tackles are gone. The best player on the board is wide receiver. Your flavor. Okay. Is it the big physical Carnell Tate? Unbelievable drop. He had 0% drop catch rate. Or Jordan Tyson, to me, if you take the medicals out of Jordan Tyson, he is the number 1 wide receiver in this draft. Brother plays for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Unbelievable body control and catch radius in the air. He's an unbelievable downfield receiver. And then you have Mekhi Lemon, who's that Armand St. Brown, who we are meeting in the top 30 visit, dog in the slot, tough, competitive, really good football player, catches everything. So, or do you wait, right? This is a draft that has big-time size at wide receiver. Don't get it twisted. I think it's one of the depth parts in this draft. A lot of size. You can go for a Denzel Boston. At pick 30, opens up the window now, right? Is Denzel Boston a guy you like? Is Omar Cooper Jr. A guy you like now? Could HA be next? Yeah, we had a mock draft and Jeremiah Love was available, and I said I'm calling up Houston for 28 and 39. I think they hold on to Achane. But Waddle's the one I thought they would trade if they could. I just think they get this kind of value for Devon Achane. It's tremendous value to get a first, a third, and then swap fours. Tremendous. Call it what you want. Call it a first and a third. Tremendous value for Jaylen Waddle. I thought if you give me a first, I would do it. So it's a late first. It's pick 30, but your options are open now, right? I would like Tyson if he's there. Malachi Lemon, obviously would be interesting. Maybe Brazil at 30 becomes an option. You could go offensive line at 11, receiver at 30, receiver at 11, offensive line, a Achane or something like that. So that's really, really impressive. And I like the way he's moving, John Eric Sullivan. I've always said this regime I have trust in so far. I like the way they're doing it in the draft. I like the way they've done it in free agency. They've casted a wide net on it. I put on a tweet about this. They casted a wide net on free agency, and they allowed themselves to be flexible now with all these picks in the draft to be able to sit there and take what the board dictates, not force a pick, not force a need. They kind of cast a wide net so they can be flexible and open. And I've always said this, guys, and you know this, if you know me and you know this channel, get as many great players in the building, figure the rest out later. I want Bryce Lance or Devon Stribling, both great athletes. Lance is a Christian Watson clone. If I had a better receiver being on the Dolphins in the middle round, he's one of them. I think they're going to take a few of them. Stribling's a guy who we took in our BPA mock, and he blew it up at the combine. Interesting. Murray thinks Achane is as good as gone. And so does Anthony. I disagree. I think Devon's gone. He's the next person to get traded after him and Jordan Brooks. Yeah, look, if they know the contract scenario is out of hand, right? He wants 19, 20 million. I could see them doing it. And I could see it being like Houston at pick 28, and you give me 28 and 59, something like that. I'm not opposed to it. I wasn't opposed on the show when we did it. I was not opposed, and it's still not. So Green Bay South, getting rid of all the Dolphin players. Maybe Miami trades back in the first and takes Sadiq. That's an interesting proposition, no doubt. Guys, join us on YouTube. Check us out. Hit that like button, subscribe button. Join us here. We're live. Jaylen Waddle, breaking news, traded to the Denver Broncos for a first, a third, and a swap of fourth. So essentially, we moved down the fourth with them, but we picked up a 1 and a 3. What are your guys' thoughts? I mean, I'm still digesting it. The wide receiver room is blank right now. So we obviously got an idea what they'll probably do in the draft there. And we'll talk about some draft prospects. Who are some of your favorite draft prospects now, right? I think that opens the door. And it's good. We got a show coming up. I mean, another weapon at receiver. This direction here, you go offensive line, you go receiver. This is not also about replacing Waddle. This is about getting picks to get a deeper, more complete roster. And now with that extra first-round pick, Miami has a real chance to add another guy who can contribute early in start. I love this move. That gives them options all over the draft. This opens the door to reload the roster. Again, not just to replace Waddle, but overall to get better. Wide receiver, O-line, corner, those are the positions I'd be looking at if you are the Dolphins and now that you're sitting with an extra number 1, an extra number 3. So that's incredible. Love the show. By the way, I tune faithfully even at work. Thank you so much, Jamaican from Zion. Thank you so much. We appreciate all you guys. Come join us here. I know it's a impromptu live. I didn't mean to lie. I was actually working on another video for the show. I'm going to drop. By the way, watch out. It's a sponsor, Spencer Fano scouting report video I'm going to drop. But I was working on that. I got a DM message from Jason Sarney. He goes, hey, Waddle just got traded. So that's why I'm about 30 or 40 minutes late. But, man, I want to talk about it with you guys. Do you guys like this direction here with John Eric Sullivan? What do you think of this move? Vote in the poll. We have a poll running of do you like it? Is it a good move? Is it a bad move? We got over 100 people watching on all platforms. Come on YouTube. Join the chat. Join the fun. Let's get it started. Let's get it kicked off here. Let's talk about it. All right, so what does this leave the Dolphins? Okay, why did they trade Jaylen Waddle? I think they looked at a guy like Waddle, and we talked about the athletic thresholds. Yeah, we'll get into that, Anthony. Watch that. Be on the lookout for that video. It's coming soon, either today, tomorrow. it's coming soon. This kind of changes a couple things, but keep an eye on it. It's coming soon. But yeah, there is that possibility. So why did they move Waddle? Okay. When you look at Jaylen Waddle, I mentioned they have athletic thresholds, and that comes in interesting with Devon Achane. At wide receiver, they have a threshold of certain height, weight, and he's kind of right there at the edge. He's not the type of receiver that they usually draft in Green Bay. I know they drafted the kid last year. His name escapes me, from Texas. Matthew Golden. They drafted him last year. So he's not usually their type. And I think they saw a guy who is, look, we want our team to look different. We want to be bigger. We want to be stronger. We want to be a different type of team, be able to play in weatherproof conditions. And Jaylen Waddle, again, was a guy who is he a number one? You know, because in big situations, he didn't show up. There was a lot of drops. He's a tremendously explosive playmaker, but there was a lot of drops and key situations. And wide receiver and running back are positions you can replace. And just so happens to come off his comment yesterday when he was that comment he had about Patrick. Wait a minute, that Patrick Surtain comment. They're teammates now. I just realized that the comment he made in the boxing event. They're teammates now. He said he can beat the you know what out of PS2. Now they're teammates. So that's funny. I didn't realize. Maybe he already knew what was coming. He already kind of had an inkling on that. Yeah, the dead cap's is not fun. But again, you can't blame this regime. They're trying to get them. They're trying to build through the draft 99, right? They're not worried about the dead cap right now. They'll get the books clean. They want to accumulate as much draft capital as they can. And that was the purpose, I think, of this deal for them, right? But yeah, dead cap is mostly, look, you got to put that mostly on the last regime. They got to move forward. They believe the best way is to build the draft. And there's only two guys that really could get them premium draft capital. That was Devon Achane or Jaylen Waddle. It's yet to be seen. Do they go completely and blow this thing up? All right. Do they completely take the cover off this thing and go Devon Achane as well and have like 3 number ones or 5 third-round picks, right? This draft's really good in the middle here, 35 to 75. So I'm glad they got more picks. And 30 is a sweet spot, again, to get a wide receiver, corner, offensive line. The mock drafts are going to be funner now. Now we can do the mock drafts even more fun. All right. Shout out to Happy Ibby. Drafting that tight end from Oregon would make sense at this point. Absolutely. All's in play for weapons now. All's in play for pass catching weapons. They need 2. They got to draft at least 2 wide receivers, maybe 3 in this draft. And good news, this position is pretty good in this draft. That's the good news. Okay. This position in this draft is pretty good. So, and it's a sweet spot in the draft. I love it. I love it. But again, let's go back to why they would trade Jaylen Waddle. The threshold. Let me pull up, if I can get my threshold chart I had somewhere if I could have found it. Thresholds of the wide receivers. Let me look for my my chart for wide receiver threshold for Green Bay. Only when Gutekunst and John Eric Sullivan was there. We didn't go back too far. So I had a number and I actually wanted to see how close they do it. But generally, I think it was like 6'1" or taller, at least 200 pounds. Like Jalen Reed was like the smallest guy they got. And, he was 5'11", 191. Waddle's 5'9" at best. So you're going to see a different type. And that begs the question here. All my mocks are irrelevant. Yeah, that begs the question for me here is, how does this affect Devon Achane? You guys mentioned in the chat, the threshold for running back is 208 pounds. They have never drafted a running back below 208 pounds. So why? I find it hard to believe they're going to do both. Maybe they completely want to change every position to what they want their guys. Remember, Achane and Waddle are not their guys, right? The guys they draft this year starting are going to be their guys. The free agent class they just signed are their guys. New regimes like their guys. Okay? So, like even Quinn Ewers, not his guy. When they could draft the quarterback they want to develop in this year's draft, very likely in day 3. But I think this is the biggest thing more. He was the player that can give them the most value. He's a wide receiver. He's had some struggles. He doesn't fit their threshold and their type. They want to go in a different system. So now they're going to go get their guys in the draft. And I think it starts potentially at the top, right? I think it starts at the top of the draft. Guys, shout out to everybody watching. Give a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. We are live, impromptu live. Jaylen Waddle traded to the Denver Broncos for the 30th pick in the draft, a third-round pick, and a swap in the 4th round. Wow. Wow. Is Achane next? Chat, anybody watching this video, do you think they stop here? Let me pull up again their draft. Let me pull up the draft picks they have now so you guys can kind of see the updated board. So now we have 11 and 30. We have 43 we already had. 75 we already had. 87, 90. We picked up 94. And then we swapped 111 for 130. So, and then we have our regular 151, 227, 238. So pick 11, pick 30, 2 number ones, a number 2, 4 number 3s. I love that 43 to 94, that meat and potatoes of this draft. You look at the players they can get. That puts a linebacker in play. That puts, you got edge. You are more flexible. You can go wide receiver twice. Ted Hurst, the guy I love. You guys know I love Ted Hurst. You guys know I love Jacob Rodriguez. The linebacker makes it more possible. Offensive line, a Jennings Dunker, a Pregnon, a Hanachour at 30. I'm going to tell you, Max Hanachour at 30 makes a ton of sense. Ton of sense. Achane will be gone, especially if we can get another first. Hey, man, I wouldn't put it past him. What are your thoughts on Theo Weiss? He's our most physical receiver as of now. Yeah, I'll tell you about Theo when he came out of college, guys. Theo was a guy who, after the catch, really good for a big guy. I thought he really fit us. I saw some flashes. He goes to camp, give him a shot, but you can't rely on him and counting him as your 4th, 5th, not even 3rd receiver. So you give him a shot, compete with some other guys you bring in. But Jordan's sick, great haul, but he's sick. Hey, I understand, man. I completely understand if you're a big Waddle fan, but I promise you, this is the right move. I promise you this is the right move. And I tell you another thing. I said I would be able to tell real early if we have the right GM. Fellas, we got the right GM. This is the move you make. Don't be afraid. Move off. No one to move off, guys. And I know people are hesitant on Achane. If you get a hell of a deal like this for Achane, you move off. You can find running backs, build the roster out to get Malik Willis guys. Build around him. Ted Hurst, Chris Bell. Yes, you have that possibility now. This is a possibility. Okay? Ted Hurst, Chris Bell, Bryce Lance, Jacoby Lane. Tremendous value across the wide receiver room. People say this is a weak draft. I disagree. Besides quarterback and offensive tackle, I think it's a really good draft. Really good draft, by the way. To be fair, Waddle was always banged up. Absolutely. He didn't miss a lot of games when you look at statistically, but he was always something going on soft tissue-wise, right? So, and again, remember, he did not, in that press conference with Travis Wingfield, mention Jaylen Waddle as the top fight. They had to throw him in. So I always knew if one guy was going to move, it was going to be Jaylen Waddle, and I'm happy about it. This is a tremendous move for the Miami Dolphins. The value they got back, you're losing a great player. Looks like I need some new Dolphins jerseys, maybe Pat Paul. I would hold off on Dolphins jerseys right now. I would hold off. But I believe we got the right guy in charge. These are the type of moves I like to see. Now, what can you do with him? Okay. Mwanga and Peter Woods at 30. Mwanga at 11. Manigoa at 11 and Peter Woods at 30. Yeah, Peter Woods, I'm fine with Manigoa at 11. Peter Woods at 30. He's an interesting player, man. He's a polarizing prospect. This is a guy who sometimes flashes and looks like a top 10 pick, sometimes looks like a 2nd and 3rd round pick. I'm not as high on Peter Woods. I think we have Kenneth Grant already. At 30, I'd go in a different direction. I go corner at Chris Johnson. I see what's on the board. A wide receiver like Chris Brazo or Denzel Boston or Cooper Jr. from Oklahoma, one of those guys. Would you give up a 3rd rounder for Brian Thomas Jr.? Yeah, if they take a 3rd rounder, but again, that's an interesting take right there. Cap, shout out to Cap for life. I don't hate that idea, but I don't think they give up a 3rd rounder. I think they're going to end up holding on to Brian Thomas Jr. Jalen Wright to the Packers for A.J. Dillon, another rumor. Again, that's the kind of back they go for, right? I'll tell you a guy. You guys want to know a guy in the draft that I'm telling you is like a Green Bay back, and you can get him in day 3? Adam Randall. I got a homework for you guys. Adam Randall, running back out of Clemson, 6'3", 230, former wide receiver, great hands, adjusted to the running back position, is a load. Check him out, Adam Randall. If I had a better running back being a Dolphin, Adam Randall in day 3 out of Clemson. How do you feel about Deion Burke from Oklahoma? Tremendous explosive lower body explosion, tremendous playmaker and speed. There are some concerns, but with this kind of production, but he did have the quarterback position, the offense around him. I like him in that late, in one of those picks. You want to take him at 94. Again, I don't think he fits the threshold of the wide receivers, that they're going to look to bring in. I think this wide receiver draft is loaded with size and strength, exactly what the Dolphins need. I think they're going to get a bunch of that in the draft. And I think that's the direction they'll go. I mean, they have worked out. They did sign Tutu Atwell. Forgot about him. Okay. They did sign Tutu. And they have worked out some other guys. I believe they worked out, according to Justin Mello, friend of the show, Xavier Thomas, the LSU receiver, is undersized. Makai Lemon is in the top 30 visit, guys. Jam Miller. You like Jam Miller from Alabama. Yeah, tremendous player. Good late round play. I love Alabama backs. Expectation for draft picks if we trade Achane. Also, would it be better to wait until after the trade deadline next year, try to get Achane to a contender for a better draft package? I mean, that's an option. You can see what it looks like, right? You can see how this season plays out. If we are winning a bunch of games, but Achane's playing well, move him. But I think if they blow you away with an offer, you have to consider it now. You take Jam Miller over Randall. Yeah, I just think for the type of back, I kind of like. I'm a big Randall guy. Check him out, guys. I'm a big Randall guy. I love the draft questions coming in, by the way, because this is what it's about. You draft, develop, and retain your guys. This is what it's about. Another thing, what it's about is I think we got the right guy, and I'm pretty certain I'm most confident in the guy we've had in the draft room since Jimmy Johnson. But it's about picking the groceries. You got to hit. It's one thing to collect these things. They got to hit. They got their chance now to put their staple in this roster early on, year 1. Okay. Shout out to everybody joining us. Shout out everybody, YouTube, X. Guys, come on over. Hit that thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. We got great stuff going on. Jaylen Waddle was just traded for a 1, a 3, and a swap of 4s to the Denver Broncos. I think it's an excellent move. I think this move reshapes the draft, gives you more options. And boy, it's going to be exciting now to see what they do. 7 picks in the top. Yeah, look at the screen. You guys want me to leave the screen up or you want to see my face? But I just want to show you guys the updated picks. 7 picks in the top 100 for the Miami Dolphins now. They came in with their plan. They wanted more picks. They got them. I'm excited. I think this changes the – does this change anything for you guys at pick 11? Does it change or it's BPA there? If Bain's there, go get him at 11. Absolutely, man. If Bain's there, if he falls there, I know people – with Bain, I know people talk about the arm length and stuff, but he plays with such violence. He carries tackles. He carries tight ends through the block. And I said this over and over again. The key for Ruben Bain is going to be, can he get his hands first? If he wins inside first, forget about it. You're not stopping him. Don't pass up great. Some people you got to rely on the tape. People are overthinking this for Ruben Bain. Wide receiver is now an option at number 11. Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. A wide receiver is an option at number 11. Let's take a look at the options now at wide receiver. Oh, per Barry Jackson, Broncos are playing all future money owed to Waddle, including full salary this year. Trade has been executed pending his passing of physical tomorrow. Wow, so they're paying all the full money here. That's huge. Dolphins are on the hook for none of it. Wide receiver is now an option at number 11. Who's your favorite, Scotty? Who's your favorite at number 11? Because if we're going there, there's just 3 guys up top. And I got to be honest, I got to be honest, guys. If it wasn't for injury, Jordan Tyson might be my number one. He'd be my number one, if I'm being completely honest. Jordan Tyson would be the number one wide receiver. So, man, 2 firsts, a second, 4 thirds. Man, I'm excited to see what we can do with that now. I would trade back and from 11 and pick up that tight end from Oregon. Yeah, I'm a big fan. The thing with Sadiq is he's big. He gives a different look to the Dolphins. They can get a bigger wide receiver later. If you want to do that, I'd be fine. That gives you a tremendous seam threat. 4.39 at 240 down the seam. Tremendous playmaker. Anybody but Lemon. Dude, I'm going to tell you, I know a lot of people hate on Lemon because he ran 4.48 or 4.52, but man, you watch him play, how competitive he is, how he gets open. He doesn't drop anything. His toughness. He's got Almon St. Brown. I wouldn't bet against this kid. I think I think he comes into the league and he's probably a top 10 slot receiver right now in the NFL. If Lemon came into this league. But again, I don't know if they'll go. I mean, I'm assuming they don't go that route, but man, they've been working out some other guys. They did sign Tutu out well, so like I can't rule that out, right? Like, can't be ruled out. I don't think it can be ruled out. So I think Cardinal Tate could be an option. Who are some of your favorite guys in round 2? I think pick 30 or 43 could actually be the wide receiver spot. Brazel, Surratt, but my favorite, man. My favorite is Ted Hurst, man. If I can get Ted Hurst somewhere around that 75 mark, sign me the what up. I love Ted Hurst. Man, I'm still in shock that we traded Jaylen Waddle. I'm looking at it now on the screen. I told you guys I was working on a video, man, and I was I was late to the party, man. Usually I like to get on live real quick, but shout out to everybody who's joining us. We appreciate it. Make sure you're giving a thumbs up. Help support the channel. Subscribe. Guys, if you didn't know, we are giving away Finn's Faithful hats. We're giving away an NFL official Dolphins draft cap if we get to 3,000 views before the draft. So we appreciate that. Hopefully you guys keep supporting the channel. It's been tremendous. Thanks for joining us on this, what does it say? Tuesday afternoon. Great trade. Going to miss Waddle. Seems like the sentiment, guys. Seems like the sentiment. Great trade. We're going to miss Jaylen Waddle, though. Right? That seems great move. Good draft to restock a team. Yeah, Brian. Appreciate that. I agree. This draft, we said, is going to be the meat of it is 35 to 75 to 85 around there. And we got a bunch of picks. We're flexible now. We can move around the board. Now I'm fascinated. Now things have changed. So next time we do our mock drafts, stay tuned. It's going to be fun. You're not going to believe. You guys are not going to believe when I tell you the day we do the mock draft I had planned, and what position we were looking at, and what kind of the player cards were. You're going to be shocked. You're not going to believe it. Disappointing trade, Waddle. Yeah, man. Great player, great hard worker, team guy. But bottom line is, it's a business, and this new regime wants their own guys and build out this roster and get more flexibility. And you couldn't pass up that deal. Eric says, how many third-round picks this year? Well, I got it on the screen. We have 4 number 3s. 4 number 3s. 2 1s, a second, 4 number 3s. Boy, this draft gonna be fun. Someone explained to me, I'm like, fine, why sign Willis if you're tanking? Well, I don't think they're. I don't think you're necessarily taking just because you traded Waddle. Okay, I think their plan is they're going to add wide receivers. They're going to add players to this roster in the draft. I think they can add wide receivers. Now, if you keep Achane, yeah, the offense is going to take a dip. But again, you can find wide receivers and running backs easier than most positions. But also, you're building out the rest of your team, right? Maybe you're not as strong at wide receiver, but now your rest of your team is stronger. Your defense is a little better through the draft. They're going to draft 2 or 3 wide receivers. They got Jalen Tolbert. Who knows? Could they sign another veteran? They're going to get a few wide receivers. So I don't necessarily think they're tanking. I think they just they looked at this opportunity and said, we need more picks. Where can we get more picks? Who can give us more picks? And the guy to do that was either Waddle or Achane. And I thought of those two guys, Waddle will be the guy that goes first. Or the one I just didn't think they can get this value for Jaylen Waddle, to be quite, if I'm being quite honest. Been saying Waddle's a bust for 2 years. This was a no-brainer. Yeah, no-brainer. For the value they got, absolutely. Absolutely. You could not do this. You could not do this deal. There's no way. No way. Man, I love the chat so live. I love all you guys in here. Wouldn't get mad at CJ Daniels getting in the third. Yeah. You know the story on CJ Daniels, right? Big, real close with Malik Willis. So Daniels an older guy. I think they even crossed paths in college when Daniels was a freshman. So keep an eye on him. 3rd, 4th, 5th round. Mickey D, shout out to my cousin Mickey. Yeah, could be available. CJ Daniels, a UM kid, at pick in one of those rounds. You can get Achane and another pick for. You can get Achane and another pick. What was it? For a 3rd pick for Achane. You can get a 2nd. Look, I'm not trading Devon Achane, guys. Okay? I'm not trading Devon Achane if it doesn't have 1 in it. I'm calling, if your goal is to completely put a bomb in the building and get as much draft picks as you can, the only other guy to give you that real value is Devon Achane, right? And Achane will give you, I'm calling up Houston. I'm saying you give me pick 28, and I think they have 38 and 59. You give me that. Let's talk. All right? You give me 28, 59. Would you guys have a hard time moving off that deal? But now you got to replace those guys. You do. Here's the other argument that I have, and somebody brought it up in the chat. I do Waddle. Malik Willis is basically on a 1-year, 2-year kind of window. I call him a franchise. I call him a bridge quarterback with franchise upside. The only guy with that ability in this class to be that bridge, but also have the chance to be QB1 because he has that kind of ability. But I also want to give him the best chance in this first year. So if we're moving off Achane, a Waddle, we already did, and we move off Achane, we got to hit on the draft to get him some weapons along with the offensive line. It's possible. The running back class is not strong in this draft at all. So if we trade Achane, maybe we can get some sort of running back. But I'm inclined to think they won't do Achane. I know a lot of you guys in the chat. I'm curious to why you think they'll do Achane as well. I thought it'd be one or the other. But it's clear, they may. I think if they had to choose, this is the guy they'd rather trade. No doubt. No doubt. If they had to choose between the two, this is the guy they'd rather trade. Shout out to the chat, dude. Shout out everybody for joining me on this 12:45 on this Tuesday afternoon with this action. I kind of was working on something else, and I come and read up and see, whoa, we just traded Jason Sarni DM me, said we just traded for Jaylen Waddle. We just traded Jaylen Waddle. So I was like, wow, really? I had to stop what I was doing, get on here with you guys, all you Fins Faithful. We appreciate you. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Man, throw a like, throw a subscribe. We get to that 3K, I'm giving away the Fins Faithful hats. I'm giving away the Dolphins draft cap official. And if you're a fan of another team, if you win it, we might give away that team. But you got to be subscribed, so we appreciate it. He'll start Achane at receiver. I think Achane will dip mid-season. Yeah. I mean, you mean trade or hold on, let me go. I was reading somebody DM me. I think Achane will dip mid-season, possibly. I mean, injuries are already a concern with him. So move him while he's hot now. His trade value is never higher. And again, what's the contract look like? What is it looking like? They've had negotiations. Are we talking James Cook money? Or are we talking more close to $20 million? Then you got to say, okay, maybe we don't want to pay that. I got to start thinking, what can I get for him? So this thing they might throw a bomb in the building and move all of them. And I know some people would hate it. Their speed's gone. I see it in the chat. But I would, if you believe you can pick the groceries, and the most important part of this whole thing, guys. And I said I officially hate March 17th. And I said this when we hired John Eric Sullivan, or before. The first thing I said is you got to clean house completely. You can't half measure it. You're not going to get any of the best candidates doing that. And that was clear. They agreed with that. They did it. Good on Stephen Ross and maybe Troy Aikman. The next thing was, I don't really care who the head coach is. The most important part of this whole thing is picking players. This still is a talent acquisition business. And if you're good at that, most likely you're going to be good on the field. I said it earlier. Stay flexible in the draft. Everybody's going, oh, this guy's not that good. 1-year deal. No, you just sign a bunch of guys all over your roster. You casted a wide net all over your roster to fill holes so you can go in the draft with bodies there at least. Be flexible. Now even more flexible. Who knows? If a Jeremiah Love fell to you at 11, are you flexible enough to do that or consider it? The answer is yes. Would you do it? Would you take trades? Would you then trade Waddle? Bunch of scenarios. But that's how you do it. You don't go in the draft having to have this. You know what happens when you have to have this? You don't move up for a CeeDee Lamb or worse. You end up drafting Austin Jackson because you don't have a body where either you or I could actually go on the field and play left tackle. You were forced to draft him and overdraft him. And that's what happens. Waddle's injury prone. Hope he passes his physical. Yeah, that's another thing. He's got to pass the physical. But I think he'll be fine. And do you guys remember the comment at the boxing? I mentioned that earlier about Patrick Surtain. He's his teammate now. So maybe they kind of knew something was going on. Good and necessary move. I agree, man. I think this was the right move. You know, I see the arguments against it if you're a fan of Devon Achane, but you got to zoom out of here and take a look at the bigger picture. What was the biggest problem in the Chris Grier? Man, and when you see how we knew Chris Grier was bad, but now going back and looking at the moves, now it's even worse. The biggest thing was roster construction, the way they did it. So that's the most important part here. That's what this move does. He wants a chance. It all comes down to this, though. All right, I like Sully. I think he's the right guy. But here's the bottom line. He can't be having one of these drafts where a bunch of guys are sitting on the bench. They're next year players. You got to come out with 3, 4, even maybe 5 starters out of this draft. Okay. And I'm curious. Shout out if we don't get O-line, if we don't get the O-line right, none trade will make us better. True. And I think they know that. They're going to build inside out. They kept talking about that. O-line at 11 is there, and now 30. You can even do both. But if you go somewhere else at 11, 30 can be a Hanachor, a Blake Miller. Let me tell you something about Blake Miller. The more I watch Blake Miller, the more impressed I am about him. 54 starts at right tackle. 54 starts in total, 52 at right tackle, 2 at left tackle, and was good in those 2. Durable, unbelievable combine workout, 6'7", long arms, 32 reps. Here's the key, guys. When you see an offensive tackle that has long arms and has high, heavy reps over 30, keep an eye on that. And the vertical jump was good. That was Pat Paul. Pat Paul has weird technique, and he still has it. He's cleaned it up. But he has 35, 36-inch arms and benches 225 over 30 times. You can get away with that kind of stuff. Keep it on Blake Miller. You want a day one starter right side? Blake Miller's your guy. He might not even make it to 30. I need a team to go all in on Achane before the season starts. Yeah, man. I'm curious. Look, I know my gut says they don't do an Achane move, but they got 7 in the top 94. And remember, Green Bay always finds wide receivers in day 2 and weapons on day 2. So maybe they're looking at this and, all right, that 43 pick or a couple in the 3rd round is where we get our guys, and it's not going to be in round 1. I'll tell you a guy, Brazo out of Tennessee, 6'4", 200 pounds, ran 4.37, runs all the route trees. 60. What I like about him, Brazo, his ability to sink his hips and turn to the ball for a guy his size, right? I know some people, oh, it's Dante Thornton Jr. No, it's different players. This guy has better hips, more fluid, size, speed. And then you got Bryce Lance, who looks like Christian Watson. My guy, Ted Hurst, who led FBS in in the last 2 years in 20-plus receptions. Shout out to everybody joining us. Come over to YouTube, guys. Join the party. Hit that like button. Get in the chat. Man wants Jaden Proctor, left tackle, 6'7", 369. He actually measured at 352. The question with Proctor, guys, is he going to stay at left tackle? I think he can. But he's a guy you can move in the guard. I think if you want to trade down, or if he falls to 30, he could be an option. Or if you even trade down from 11, if they want to get more picks in that middle, he could be a first-round option. I love Vega at number 11. Vega's a guy who's very interesting. The more you watch, the ability, the durability, the tenacity he plays with, he's a tone setter on the offensive line. I'll tell you what's one thing, since you mentioned the offensive line at 11. I'm having a hard time, to be honest. They're really close. Mauigoa, Fano, Vega. Man, there's so much different flavor. They're really close. I'm having trouble distinguishing which one of the three I would pick. By the way, I got a Fano video ready to be dropped soon. I was working on that today. It's a 3-4 minute video with the scouting report and stuff like that. That's what I was working on. It'll be dropped. I don't know if tonight or tomorrow or the next day. If this changes things, I don't know what we're going to do. But keep an eye on that. And, we'll be live again, obviously. But I'm going to be here with you guys, getting your thoughts on this Jaylen Waddle news. I'm still trying to digest the news, man. I didn't think they get this kind of value for Jaylen Waddle. If you just joined us, Jaylen Waddle, breaking news, you see it on the bottom, to the Denver Broncos for a 1, a 3, and a 4th. And we swapped 4th-round picks. So we went from basically picked up a 1 and a 3 and swapped 111, and we got 130. We moved back in the 4th round. But that's okay. We had a gap from, I think, 90 to 111 to 151. I'm actually fine with from 90 to 130. The gap's a little smaller. I'm fine. We're in a good spot. We're in a good spot. We're in a very good spot. And the Broncos are paying all of his money according to Barry Jackson. Rutledge is a good guard they can get early in round 3. Yeah, man. Rutledge, you want Ione, get Cease, Emmanuel Corton-Hood with that first rounder. Hey, you want to get Emmanuel McNeil-Warren? You want to get Brandon Cease, who I think his pro day was today. I don't know, D, if you got you know anything about his pro day. I know he was running today. I wanted to see what he runs. He's a big vertical speed guy downfield. I'm good with that. You want to get your offensive line and corner? Then boom, 43, edge or wide receiver. If Chris Braslow's there at 43, Omar Cooper Jr., let's go. We got options. This is going to be fun, this draft. And again, I can't wait for you guys to see the show we had planned for Thursday. You're going to laugh based on what happened today. So that's fun. Rutledge is good guard. They can get an early 3rd round. Seattle looking at Brian Robinson Jr. replaced Ross running back. Achane better. Yeah, man. Let's call up Seattle. All these teams are going to be calling the Dolphins now. There's a red flag. As soon as the Dolphins traded Jaylen Waddle, there's a red flag around the league. All right, let's give them a call. What do they want for Devon Achane? What do they want for Jordan Brooks? What do they want for Zach Sealer, right? I don't think you can get much as you think for Jordan Brooks, but teams are going to be calling. You said, and Rutledge in the 3rd round. Let me tell you a guy I like, guys, since this is turning heavy draft because, yes, they traded Waddle. We know we got to refill that position, what it means. We know we're sad. He was a fan favorite. But it also turns into now what's next, the draft. You talk about Rutledge. Let me talk about a guy I love, Jalen Farmer out of Kentucky. I've been on him for a while. What I love about Farmer is right guard, but he's 6'4", 6'5", 318, tremendous athlete, but also has the profile of a tackle who can kick outside the tackle. And what do they need on the right side? They could use a guard or a tackle. You can play with musical chairs with Austin Jackson, move him inside, move him outside, move Jonah to the other side. Get your 5 best players on the field. But I'll tell you, Jalen Farmer is a top 100 player for me. I like a lot. Another guy I like a lot is Trey Zune. Put on his tape against University of Miami. I know he's played tackle, and they say he's got to move in the center. but this guy can play all 5 positions on the offensive line. He's a really good athlete, good player. Sam Hecht, watch him more. Lower body power, I like. Out of Kansas State. Another guy, Caleb Turnin. Man, I'm hot, man. We can go draft all day. I'm hot. Join us on YouTube here. Hit that like button. Subscribe. We're giving away draft caps and Fin Faithful caps if we get to 3,000 subs by the draft. Dolphins trade Jaylen Waddle to the Denver Broncos for a first, a third, and basically swap a fourth. So we gave our fourth. Seattle. Let's check out any other news on the any rumors or news that we're talk about. But I think this is an amazing trade for Miami. They didn't pick up any salary. I mean, dude, better receiver. What did DJ? Let's ask this. I want to ask this to you guys. Better receivers than Waddle have gone for less. Let me ask you this. Everybody talks about, oh, they gave up a 2nd-round pick for DJ Moore. Do me a favor, if you have your phone with you. Go look at DJ Moore versus Jaylen Waddle stats. Matter of fact, I'm going to do that. Jaylen Waddle stats versus DJ Moore. And they got it. They gave up a 2nd round. What did they get? What did they get for? Was it a 2 and a 5 they got for Moore? I believe. All right. So for DJ Moore and Seattle, looking at Brian for DJ Moore. Let me look it up here. So career-wise, Jaylen Waddle has let me look it up. So Jaylen Waddle, DJ Moore in last year. So Waddle had a little bit of a better game. DJ Moore played 17 games. Waddle played 16. Receptions 64 to 50. Receiving yards 910 to 682. Yards per reception pretty much the same. Same receiving touchdowns. Moore had more rushing yards. All right. But look at his career. He entered 26 with 8,213 receiving yards and 41 touchdowns. Waddle, in his recent years, 5,039 receiving yards, 26 touchdowns in his 5-year career. I mean, and they gave up a 2nd and a 5th. DJ Moore has explosives. My question to you all, where was Waddle in that 70 blowout versus Denver? Yeah, I don't, look, Waddle, that's another thing we didn't bring up on Waddle and we wasn't talked about enough, is he would take himself out of games a lot. Great point, Cap. Great point. Let's get more people on YouTube in here, Cap. Share it. Let's get them up. Let's get them all in here, joined us here. Let's join the party. Farmer in the 3rd round. Yeah, man. I think that's what he's a top 100 player for me, Jalen Farmer. No doubt. No doubt. Jalen Farmer's a top 100 player for me. That is without a doubt. Go look him up. I'm a big fan. And I'll tell you, Blake Miller at 30 is a guy I like too. So these are all guys that, I'm just looking at their picks, man. This is the Green Bay way, man. This is the Green Bay way. Shout out to everybody in the chat. I'm looking at what was DJ Moore traded for? I forgot. DJ Moore was traded for what was he traded for? They sent, a 2nd-round pick. I was right, and a 5th-round pick back. So DJ Moore got a 2 and a 5. Jaylen Waddle got a 1, a 3, and a pick swap of 4s. I don't think many GMs would turn down that trade. I don't know if Jaylen Waddle was the guy they were looking to move or not, but I do know when they got that deal, they were doing that. They were doing that deal. There was no doubt. They were doing that deal. That deal was getting done. All right, so let's look what else. Trying to look. So, what do you guys want to do now? Right? Do you guys? Who are the guys out there, veteran wise, at the wide receiver? I know somebody mentioned Brian Thomas Jr. as a trade. I don't think the Jaguars are going to move him. I don't think it makes sense for the Dolphins to give up capital. Their goal was to get the capital. They look at that as like gold. They're not going to give that up. So, They picked up their wide receiver room, looks like right now, with Jalen Tolbert. Let me pull up the list of the Dolphins' current wide receivers, actually. I'm sure you guys can, just so I can read it correctly and accurately for you guys. I appreciate you guys joining me live here. This is fun. I was not expecting this. Look, they have right now their best wide receivers are Tutu Atwell, Jalen Tolbert, Malik Washington. Clearly, they're going to add a few guys in the draft. Waddle still had 3 years remaining on the deal, and he was going to make a decent chunk of that change in the coming years, and now they're paying for that. The Broncos are paying for all of it. Dolphins got the strong return. Again, 7 picks in the first 3 rounds. It's going to help them rebuild. You lose a Pro Bowl. Would you say a borderline Pro Bowl receiver in the prime? Remember, he's 26, 27, speed receiver. So what does he have? 3 more years of prime years left? What are the Dolphins going to be? Doesn't mean they're tanking around Malik Willis. They're going to get Malik some more help. Maybe the guys they like or Malik prefers or the type of receivers. But I thought this is too good of an opportunity not to build out the rest of the roster. They can use those picks to address more holes on the roster. And they have to prove that. They got to prove that and find a replacement for Waddle. So that means to me, I told you guys on 11, we were all shocked when they brought in the USC receiver Makai Lemon for a top 30 visit. Maybe they knew this was going on. Again, maybe they had this in the works for a while. I'd be curious to see how long. In many mock drafts, Love was available, so I traded Achane and Sealer to the Cowboys for 12, a third, and a fifth, and drafted Downs and Love. Wow. If you can get the 12th pick overall for Achane and Sealer, I'd do that. And a third and a fifth? Absolutely. I got no problem doing that. Get edge rushers, O-linemen, secondary, tight end, and wide receivers. A plethora of picks can still make more moves. Absolutely, man. It gives you options and flexibility. Those are the 2 biggest words here. Options, flexibility, man. Biggest words right now to what this gives you. If I had to pick any 2 words, it'd be that. Option, flexibility. We can look at the draft and we can look at some guys. If you want to kind of look at guys, we can go over some guys if you want. Who are some of your favorite guys now that you thought, all right, we didn't have a pick at 30. I think that's where we got to look. The new picks, 30 and 94. Let's look at some guys now, an extra guy in the 3rd round or a guy in that 30 range. Who would you guys like, right? Let me go to my board and kind of the board I started working, and I'll tell you some guys that I like now that 30 became an option. Again, it depends on what you do at 11, right? Whether you go offensive line, whether you go corner at the lane, whether you go the weapons, the wide receiver. I'll tell you a couple of names I think opens up at 30 for me. I think Achane is one of the bigger ones, a tackle, fascinating offensive tackle prospect. Killed in the Senior Bowl. He had a slow start, but real productive. He's helped himself tremendously. Caleb Lemieux, too, the tackle. He can start left to right. Fano's teammate. TJ Parker got himself in the mix there if you want to get edge. Somebody mentioned Colton Hood. Somebody mentioned Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, high productive, physical, big play player. I'm not a Cassius Howell guy. Again, Omar Cooper Jr., let me tell you, this guy, clutch, acrobatic catches, good target. I don't know if he's wide receiver 1. I think he's a really good wide receiver 2, but he looks like a Green Bay receiver. If somehow Thieneman fell to safety, Monroe Freeling, if he fell, I think he's going to go. I told you I was on this guy early on, and he's a young left tackle with unbelievable upside and length. There's warts there. I told you. And I said this, if he came back to school next year to the University of Georgia, this guy was a top 10 pick next year, no doubt. But there's a toolkit to work with, man, and somebody's going to take him early. So those guys, if Kedrick Falk's there, if somehow a Proctor fell or a Mesidor, the age is a concern. He's not for everybody. Chris Johnson, the corner, solid Senior Bowl, tested well, nice size. Again, I talked about Blake Miller, how much I love him. Colton Hood, Brandon Cease, all these guys, fellas. All these guys. These are options now. We got options. I think Freeland goes before Mawioga. He's a left tackle. Yeah, man. I've been on free. It's one of the funnest things for me, man. When I get in this process for Finn's Faithful, I'm a big draft guy. We have our shows. We have my shows with Jason. We do the mock drafts. But this is where I live. This is my home, the draft. I've been doing it since I was 11 years old, man. And when I get on a guy early like Monroe Freeling, and all of a sudden the rush behind me starts coming, makes me feel good. I put out a short when I was talking about him a while ago. CJ Allen. Yeah, CJ Allen's interesting. I like the linebacker depth in this class. I'd probably wait on that, on linebacker, Brian, if I'm being completely honest. But some other guys that I would look at here, Zion Young, long-armed, energetic, bull in the china shop. Like, I don't know how he's going to be a 12-sack guy, but he's going to get the job done. He's a player. He looks the part. Brandon Cease, the corner. Again, I think he had a pro day today. I'm not sure if he worked out. I was a fan of his early in the season. He's athletically gifted as you get for a cornerback. So I'm curious to see what he worked out as. Jake Golday, I love, is another guy. Basantis, Anthony Hill Jr. I mean, dude, there's so many guys. Gabe Jackus, one of my guys. He's got good recognition skills. If I'm not mistaken, Jacob Rodriguez, this Toledo safety's fired too. Yeah. Gabe Jackus, if I'm not mistaken, at 6'4", 260, 30 reps on the bench. He's well built, unbelievable. And you see the play strength on tape. He can stand up. He can put his hand down. He's smart. He's a really good teammate. You can see he's competitive. He gets in your face. Like 43 is not too high for him at all. I don't care where they have listed. I'm telling you, not too high for him. You like Deontay Scott from Miami? Yes. Fan of his. Miami guys are all older guys, though. They're not for everybody. All these Miami guys, they're not 24, 25. A lot of guys in this draft are with the whole, 6-year thing. So, but Jack is the guy I like. Again, now we have the possibility. Brazil, I mentioned. Bernard, the kid out of Alabama. Jacob Rodriguez, somebody mentioned him in the chat. Rodriguez, he was a project quarterback at Virginia. If anybody watched this channel last year, they knew I banged the table for Carson Schlesinger, the linebacker from UCLA. I said, man, this could be our Zach Thomas. And he ended up being the defensive rookie of the year. I'm not quite there with Rodriguez. But when I watch him, the Texas, maybe it's just a Texas Tech thing, same kind of neck and wide face, instincts at linebacker. He plays 3-4 yards ahead of the play. That's what makes up. And he tested unbelievable. Ran 4.57. His rise has been incredible. He's a playmaker. I think he had like 7 forced fumbles last year. I mean, he's a tremendous instinctive playmaker. Like if you took him at 43, you wouldn't hear me crying at all. The Stooks. Yeah, Stooks is nice. He's an interesting one. We argue, is he a slot? Is he a safety? I think he has some outside boundary corner skills, right? So he's interesting. He's in that. There's that tier of third round guys. Him, Julian Neal, Malik Muhammad, all guys in that third round range. I like the Oregon safety, but he's top 20, no doubt. Check out the video. I had a scouting video poet on Dylan Tyneman. I think if he's there at 30, I think he probably run to the podium there. Tremendous. Guys, chat with it. Come join us on YouTube. We got over 300 people watching on all platforms. Make sure you guys dive on the YouTube with us. Get in the chat. Jaylen Waddle traded to the Denver Broncos. What does this mean? We're looking at draft options because things have opened up for the Dolphins. I appreciate the chat. Everybody in the chat is going crazy. Love it. Thank you guys. You guys are making this. I'm staying on as long as the chat's active, baby. The more we get, the longer I'll stay on and chat with you guys. I'm happy to do it. This is what it's about for me. The people who watch this show and support this show is what it's about for me. I got all the time in the world. Jalen Kill. Oh, great one. Great one. This safety, linebacker, and even interior offensive line, love in the middle of this draft. Shout out to the Cubs, Mickey. So many options. You're actually getting me excited for another rebuild. I was down on the Dolphins. in the dump for a few weeks. Appreciate it, cuz. No problem, man. Look, you can be excited because they got the ammunition to play with. Now they got to shoot it, and they got to hit their target. And that's the question. It's going to be fun to find out on draft night. And, of course, we'll be live all 3 nights. So you better not be anywhere else but here. We'll be live all 3 nights for that. Again, you got the ammunition. Now you got to shoot and hit your target. DDS, yeah, you know, Jason loved the dentist, Sutton. He's one of those guys. He profiles. He's very realistic. He profiles for the Miami Dolphins at that 6'5", 250. He's got that profile and athleticism. A lot of the other edges are maybe a little shorter, maybe a little lighter. I like him. I like Lawrence. I told you about Jackus. I think Jackus and Zion Young are higher picks. I think Lawrence and him and Crawford out of Auburn are all in that same boat. And I think the explosiveness and length I could see him being a Miami Dolphin. Big fan of him. Yes, I agree with Kilgore is a guy I've liked for a long time. And his workout was even better. So he's starting to move up now. Jaden Kilgore. I mean, I'm just looking at the options, you know. AJ Halsey, another safety, thicker body safety with ball instincts. We talked about, you know, and Pregnon becomes a guy you could take at 43 if you want to hold on the offensive line, or if you want to get a tackle and you want to get a guard, you can get Pregnon maybe at 43 even in that later pick. But most likely you'd have to take him at 43. I'll tell you who Pregnon reminds me of. Dolphin fans, you might like this. He's an older prospect, but ready to play. High floor, thick body, mauler inside, strong man. Older prospect reminds me a lot of Rob Hunt. I think this guy comes in day one, starts at guard for you. I mean, I don't know about you guys. I wouldn't mind another Rob Hunt. Rob Hunt was good. Bud Clark or Bishop Fisher at tackle. Bud Clark's another one. Safeties. There's so many safeties. This is why it's so good they picked up so many draft picks now. An extra first, an extra third, pick 30, pick 94, and the swap 111 to 1. We did go back 19 spots in round 4, but I'm okay with that. You gave us a 1 and a 3. I'll do that all day and every day and twice on Sunday. Gabe Jackus. Yeah, man. Poe, he's a player. I love him, man. I love him. Checking out the Twitter land, see if anybody's got any more news. Yeah. So I agree with some people who are saying I read that. I don't know. I actually don't know if they go wide receiver in round 1 based on the Green Bay way. I know they took Matthew Golden. But I'll tell you, I can't get off the name Jordan Tyson. I know. I'm curious of what you guys, if you guys feel in the NBA, his brother's Jaylen, physical guy. You watch some of his tapes, his body control is outstanding. His ankle flexibility, these are things I look at when I watch players. I go crazy, man. I look at jaw lines of players. I look at ankle and shin flexibility. When I watch him, I see the natural athlete. When I see a bloodlines of his brother's a first-round pick in the NBA, his strength is manly. 26 reps at wide receiver. For me, the medicals are the issue. If not, he's wide receiver 1. He's wide receiver 1. Bud Clark. Yeah, I see Bud Clark more as a safety poet. To be quite honest, if I'm being completely honest with you, I see him more as a safety. So I mean, Jaylen Waddle to the Broncos. Let's look at the Broncos. It's a good move for the Broncos. They give up a lot, but they think they're close. They're close. They get Bo Nix that weapon, right? They get Bo. So they decided, okay, at pick 30, do we want Omar Cooper Jr., Chris Brazell, Surratt, or do we want Jaylen Waddle? So it makes sense for them. I think the 3rd round pick is what puts the deal over the edge. And shout out to Jaylen Waddle too, the kind of guy he is. Ian Rappaport just reported when he found out he was being traded, he drove right to the team headquarters to say goodbye to the staffers and the people he's gotten to know over the last few years. Again, smart football decision, but personally, it's probably a tough one in that building. That tells you the kind of guy Jaylen Waddle is. Love Lee Hunter. Lee Hunter's a guy I could drop. Love Tyson. Love Hurst. Man, Poet, you're speaking my language, man. You're speaking my language. Two of my favorites. I love Ted Hurst. Again, another guy I was early on. I can't help when I look at Bryce Lance, though, that he's going to be a Dolphin. He looks like Christian Watson. He looks like Christian Watson, man. Shout out to all the people watching. Guys, make sure you hit that thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. We're live with you guys again. I'll stay on as long as the chat's live. I'll stay on with you guys, and we'll talk it up. Jaylen Waddle officially traded to the Broncos. Subscribe. Get us to 3K, man. Let's get that run going. We'll give away these hats. I'm giving away a draft cap, an official Dolphins draft cap. They're so nice. We get to 3K. Guys, help me with that effort, and I promise I give back to you guys. We gave away 2 books early in the year. We're going to continue to give back. You guys make the channel. You make the show. I am honored when I get one. Sometimes it's 1,000. Sometimes it's a couple hundred. Sometimes one view. Whatever it is, man. Multiple, 4,000 or 5,000. I'm so honored when I do this. You guys make me love doing this, and I'm glad that if I can give you a minute of entertainment of your day, we appreciate that. Jalen Tolbert stole surviving Jalen on the Dolphins. Soul survive. Yeah, man. There was a bunch of them. Oh, we got right. We still got right. Probably not for long. What about Bell? Scott Bell from good player. Another good wide receiver. Not talked about a lot. And he's a Dolphins fit here in this regime. Good. I'm glad you brought him up, man. Skylar Bell, really underrated wide receiver in this draft. I couldn't agree more with you. I could not agree more with you. I always forget what he ran, though. For some reason, when I look at his, I always was curious what he ran. Did he run at the combine? I don't remember. But he's one I even overlook sometimes, but he fits the Green Bay 6', 192. Did he run? I think he did run like 4.4 or something like that. But he jumped out of this world. I remember that. 41 inches. I know that. I think he could play on the inside. He could play on the outside. I think he's a Dolphin type, kind of a Dolphin type kind of target. He fits the balloon in the background. Yeah, man. I got this balloon, and I was like, I loved it. It was so big. It's like I found it somewhere, and I was like, yeah, it was her birthday, and let me put it back there. It blocks the light over there. Yeah. But don't be Jordan. This is optimism, man. We have loaded up on this draft pick. We got a chance. We got ammunition to rebuild this roster. Where was it going with Jaylen Waddle? Let's be frank. It's going to be a lot of great players that drop. You can build a wide receiver room in this draft. Absolutely. And I add that? You can build a wide receiver room with size in this draft. That's the one thing you don't want to forget. With size. Okay? You can build a wide receiver room with size. Again, when people say this draft is not strong, I like it at wide receiver. I like it at linebacker. I like it at safety. I even like it a little bit at offensive tackle. Offensive guard, not offensive tackle. So you can. That's a great point. It's part of the reason why they did this. Because they also want to don't make a mistake. You also want to give Malik Willis, like I said earlier, the best chance to succeed here. Right? You want to give Malik the best chance. Because look, the Green Bay way is to draft quarterback still. They're going to draft a quarterback. Maybe late day 3 this year, and could be in the first round next year. Okay? Depending, so Malik Willis has got to produce this year. As much as I'm happy and excited. He was my number 1 quarterback in the 2022 draft, Malik Willis. Don't get it twisted. I loved him. Wasn't a big quarterback draft. I think Kenny Pickett was the first. But he still got to produce. Because this regime, in a way, they're looking for a quarterback in the draft. Not high this year. This year, it lined up well for Malik. This year wasn't high in this year's quarterback class. Man, after Mendoza, and there's even questions about Mendoza for me. He's still a top 10 prospect, but moving forward, after that, you want Ty Simpson. Now, this wasn't the draft to do it. This is a draft where you take a shot at Taylor Green, Alar, Cole Payton, round 3, 4, 5. Maybe that pick 94 you picked up is your quarterback. It's a great point. What quarterback? It's a great point. I just thought of that. Quarterback. Maybe your developmental guy in this year's draft you just picked up with pick 94. Is that too early for Taylor Green? Boy, I love his traits. A little rich for me, even though I love the traits. I've been on Taylor Green for a while. I think he's underrated as a passer too. He's a quarterback. Give him a chance at quarterback. Stop with the receiver stuff. There's time for that. Or is it Drew Alar? The traits. You watch Drew Alar. Okay, because we picked up pick 94, and we haven't talked about that pick. They can use that on the quarterback. Drew Alar, when you look at his traits, when they asked him to step up, he did with nothing around him last year. Life without Tyler Warren was tough. But when you watch him, his biggest issue is his footwork and his feet get him in trouble. But when you watch Drew Alar, you see a guy who is smart, processes, can read defenses, strong arm. He makes shortstops who make the difficult play but can't make the easy one. That's Drew Alar. He can't get his feet set right to make a simple throw sometimes, and his feet are all wacky. His base is all wide, and it affects his accuracy. But you ask him to move on the run and make a crossbody throw, he lines it up and stings it there. So, Drew Alar, you could take a 94. Cole Payton, shout out to Cole Payton, you mentioned in the chat. Poet, you're coming in strong, Poet. I hope you subscribe to the channel. I don't know if I've seen you in here before, man. Make sure you subscribe. I like a lot of your questions. Does Sully like Ewers drafting quarterback? His backup Ewers trade value of any? Idle, that's a great question. I talked about earlier. New regimes like their guys. They like their players. Achane, Waddle, Ewers, they're not their players. They're great players. Well, not Ewers. Achane's a great player, right? And so you don't want to give up great players, but they're not your guys. So Sully can look at Ewers and say, yeah, I want my own developmental guy. They probably like Ewers. He fits that West Coast offense, but I want to get my guy, my developmental guy. Maybe not my top first, second round quarterback, but I want to get my guy in this draft to compete along with Ewers, my guy. So that's a great point. Ewers have any trade value? I mean, somebody give you maybe the same thing you drafted him for, a 7th or a 6th round pick. Maybe you do that if you draft an LR, but why not? He's shown he can be serviceable in the league. Bring him in as your backup. Let an LR or a Green or a Peyton or whoever hold the clip or compete with and have Willis as a starter. So, yeah, not getting much trade, but you might as well just keep Ewers. He's shown enough. But, again, they might want to get one of their guys, developmental guys in the later round, just like the Dolphins did with Ewers last year with the older team. They want to get theirs. I'm new, but I like what you say a lot. Thank you, Poet. I appreciate that, man. I love when I see new people in the chat and get on Finn's Faithful, man. Make sure you subscribe, man. We got a ton of Dolphin stuff. If you're not a Dolphins fan, we got draft stuff. I got a Spencer Fanu video coming out pretty soon. Short video. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you, Poet. I like a lot of your questions, so it's the feeling's mutual. Kobe Young, wide receiver from Georgia. Yeah, there's so many. There's so many 6'3", 6'4" receivers in this draft. It's incredible, man. It's incredible. That's why I'm excited. Dylan Everett ran really well. He's in that 3rd, 4th round. Corner. Dylan Everett. Tremendous corner. So, these are all players that I like. I mean, this is why when you add these many picks in this draft, people get confused because, yeah, it's not a great blue chip prospect draft, but what it is you take out quarterback, left tackle, and running back. I like a lot of the other positions, a good depth draft. So, that's what we got to look at, right? People, it's a bad draft. Next year's draft's loaded. Yes, 27 draft is loaded. Teams are not going to want to give up picks. Are not going to want to give up picks in that next year's draft. It's loaded. But you also got to. So we heard that about a lot of drafts before, and then when we get there, what happens? A lot of guys go back. They don't come out. So you got to be careful here when you're looking at that and saying, yeah, next year's draft's loaded. This one's not good. But I do believe that this was the right move. I like the wide receiver from the Irish. Yeah, are you talking about Malachi Fields? You know what? I'm glad you brought him up, Stet. Okay. I'm not as high on Fields as a lot of people. He's a little stiff for me. Separation concerns me. He did run that 4.62. I thought he was pretty good in the gauntlet drill. Not as high on Fields as I would. There's a few other options. Like I would take Jacoby Lane over him. Other guys I would take over him much more than than Fields. You put me on to Tacario Davis. Now I'm in love. Yet, oh man, Tacario, not just Tacario, man. His teammate, they're both big, long corners. You look at the fourth round, somebody might overdraft Tacario because I like Muhammad's tape better, Malik Muhammad, but like you're going pure upside. Tacario Davis, man, is like he looks like a Seattle Seahawk, right? 6'4", 33 and 3/8 arms, almost 200 pounds, runs 4.41, 37 vert. He's disruptive, right? Ball production not there, but you can see what he does to reroute guys from press. He's really good with the arm. He's a really outside press corner. He shuts down windows for receivers. There's even talk of him at free safety, but I like him at corner. He looks like a Seattle Seahawk kind of wide corner. But yeah, I'm a big fan. His teammate too, his name slips me, is also really good. His teammate, George is a hell of a salesman, ain't he? The draft is true love. Man, I ain't selling nothing. I'm selling a good time with the draft and knowledge, man. I'm selling you guys to tune into our stuff, man. I love all you guys. I'll stay as long as the chat's live with me and kicking it. We appreciate everybody joining us. Again, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Let's get to that 3,000 sub, man. I really want to give away all these hats. I'm going to order a bunch of these. I'm going to give away the Dolphins draft cap, which is nice. They're always nice. I love them. I'm going to have to order a couple because I want one. So make sure you get us the sub. It takes a second. It's a little bell. Hit the little bell. It's a second. And also, if you sub, put on the notifications so you know you never miss when we're live. Again, we're here. I didn't expect to go live here. Jaylen Waddle traded to the Denver Broncos for a first. You see it scrolling on the bottom there. A third and a swap in the fourth. We gave 111. They gave us 130. So basically 1 and a 3 in the swap for Jaylen Waddle. What are your guys' thoughts on it? Do you like this move? I think it works out for both teams, right? Daniel Jeremiah just released his new mock. Let me see if I can pull it up and we can talk about it here. If you guys want to do that, would you guys be interested in that? I just saw that he released it a few hours ago. Everybody loves a good DJ mock. Did he update it with the Dolphins pick? Let's see. Yeah, it's updated. Okay. Let's pull that up. Let's pull up. Saw a couple of lives. This one's the best. Good job. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that, man. Part of it is you got to get yourself out there. You got to, they got to find me, right? And I appreciate you guys if you subscribe, share the broadcast. Let's pull up. Let me see if I can pull up DJ's mock here. Share. What does it look like on my screen here? All right, DJ's mock. A little small, but I don't know if it works better if I do it like this. Like this. We'll do it like that. Let's pull up DJ's new mock draft. If I can go back to my page where I had it. All right, so let's see. He has and this just came out today, and he's got it updated with pick 30. So he has Mendoza, no surprise. Reese, Mawioga, 3. Wow, that's saying something. Jeremiah Love, no surprise. Styles, Tate, Bain going higher. Bailey, Fano. So Fano's gone. Downs goes right before. So they go Delane. So they get Delane. I would have no problem with that. McCoy goes. Lemon. Wow, so that was his second receiver, right? Where did Tate go? Tate went 6. He has Lemon going second. Tyson right after. That's a Baltimore pick. Mesidor, Cooper, Monroe Fielding. So yes, Cooper, another wide receiver going 16th. Dynaman, KC Conception. It's a little high for me. TJ Parker, Blake Miller, we talked about. Blake Miller, man, he's moving up. He's got Vega going 22. Trade down, man. Imagine Vega fell to 30. Proctor, Lomu, McNeil Warren, Cassius Howell, Sadiq. Imagine if we can get Sadiq at pick. Yeah, that's the right. Yeah, Price Hawk. Yes, thank you, Poet. Imagine if you can get Sadiq at pick 27. Chase Basantis at 28. Colton Hood, that's a guy Dolphins could be looking at 30. Kendrick Falk. So they go with the big. I know Sonny don't like that. Kendrick Falk, they go with the big, physical, 6'6", 275 pound edge. Fits. And here's the thing about Kendrick Falk. I know some people are down on him. he just plays with unbelievable strength, right? The feet got to catch up to him. But think of him like if you're dreaming big on him, think of him like a Calais Campbell. Imagine he puts on 20 pounds, he's 295, and you move him at 6'6", 6'7" inside. And Jeff Hafley's defense, so think about that. He's got Caden McDonald, Jadarian Price. So he got a running back. So we talked about Achane. This is a time. If they do deal Achane, Seattle at 32. Seattle at 32. That could be a situation. So again, they got Kendrick Falk going to the Dolphins at 30, updated, and at pick 11, they have Mansour Delane going to the Dolphins. So wouldn't hate that. What do you guys feel if that was the case? I love Falk at 30. Yeah. So again, Seattle. If you look at Seattle at pick, where is it? Seattle. Let's go back to the draft. So they have him taking Jadarian Price. Would the Seattle Seahawks, similar to the Broncos, right? The Broncos saw pick 30 here. All right, what wide receivers will be available? So let's see. The wide receiver's gone already. Cooper was already gone. Where did he go? Cooper was already gone. And obviously the top 3 guys. So, and Conceptions, the wide receiver out of Texas A&M. So they would have to go Surratt, Brazal, somebody like that. So for the Broncos fans, this makes sense. I think maybe the extra third probably hurts a little Broncos fans, but it helps us, but it got the deal done. So in the similar sense, you look at Seattle at 32. Would you rather have Devon Achane or Darian Price? Now, I'm not saying they're going to move Achane. I'm not saying it's something I would do, but look, if they're going to put a bomb in the building, what does Seattle's picks look like this year? Just out of curiosity, what does Seattle's picks look like? Seattle Seahawks draft picks. So they have their second. So what is they have? All right, so they have 26. What's the number on them? They have their second. So they have, okay, would you do 32 and 64? And maybe you give up 131. Would you guys do that for Devon Achane? 32 and 64 or 32 and 96, let's just say that. Either one. Would you do either one for Devon Achane? I think Bryce Lance is going to be available because I've seen him on a lot of boards pushing him up into late first lately, in early second. Yeah. Yeah, man. He's somebody we get to draft day. He might not make it to 75. Yes. No. So, would you do Seattle? If Seattle's sticking the same way as Denver, at 30, they didn't like the receiver that would be there. They'd rather have the proven guy in Waddle, explosive. Could Seattle at 32 think the same thing? Okay. And say, I'll give you 32 and 64. 32 and 64 is a lot. That's a hard deal to pass up. AJ ain't special, but also you got to weigh, as we talked about, how much you want to strip Malik Willis in his first year. But again, you got to think, can we replace the wide receivers? Yes. Can we replace the running back? Maybe. And we might not lose as much effectiveness as you guys like to believe. They might get the guys in their own ability. Again, their athletic threshold for both of those positions are not Jaylen Waddle or not Devon Achane. But Achane's a special player. To get off him, either the money's got to be out of control when they're negotiating now or something like that. It's got to be close. He wants close to $20 million or something like that. Then maybe it's going to be Seattle or Dallas trading for Achane. Yeah, I could agree with that. I could see that. I tend to think they don't do it, but nothing would surprise me at this point. I didn't see Waddle being had. I didn't see Waddle being traded because I didn't think they'd give this price or get this price. But yeah, man, it's fantastic. Fantastic. Shout out to everybody watching us on Twitter, on X, on YouTube. Again, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit that thumbs up. Appreciate everybody joining us. It's been so fun. Chat, again, as long as you guys stay in here, I'll stay in here a little bit more with you guys and kind of chop it up and see. I was trying to get some other guys on, but it's tough. It's 12. It's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It was 12:30, 1:30. Hard to get guys to come on. This kind of this at this time to join. But this is it's exciting. It's exciting and sad at the same time. This is a player we all loved. He's exciting. He was a 6th pick overall in the draft, where they probably made the wrong decision in that draft. I don't think anybody's going to be doubting that. But H ain't special. Waddle isn't. Yeah, look, Waddle's a hell of a talent. Don't let's not get it twisted. Part of it was he had to deal with Tyreek Hill, but I agree with you. There was that ceiling for when big plays were needed or big things needed to happen, there'd be a drop. He took himself off the field. There was just something there that wouldn't allow him to get to that elite level. And I agree with you. He didn't get to that elite level. Let's see if he can do it with Bo Nix in Denver. That Achane is special. Water. George, Samora fan base is over downloading some of these guys. As much as I like Devon, he's not worth a first, a second, and third next year like our fans think he's worth. Well, I think they're not going to trade him left. I don't think. If you look at pick 32, though, kind of an early second, late first, 32 and 64, that's a great question. If you think that's too much, 32 and 94, would you do that? If you're definitely on 32 and 64, maybe you'd have to think about 32 and 94. That's probably where I'm at. But I think it's a similar situation to Denver. They're looking at a player that would they rather have Jadarian Price or would they have Devon Achane? Denver said, we'll give up a third because we'd rather have him, Jaylen Waddle, than Chris Brazel or Surratt at pick 30. So that's the question, right? That's the ultimate question. I'm looking up, see if any other news broke or any other tidbits to share with you guys as far as on this trade. You also got to look second round Packers. Stay tuned for that, right? Second round wide receiver, that was the Packers' way. And they could still move up the board. Let me pull up the draft picks again for you guys. Just one final time here. I'll pull up the draft pick chart. So they could still maneuver the board. So look 11, look at 30. Again, whatever you want to do there. You want to go corner at 11, wide receiver at 11. You want to go offensive line at 30, safety at 30, corner at 30, edge, whatever combo you want. I think we're looking at 11. I think offensive line, corner, and wide receiver are going to be the three positions you're looking at. You can pivot the one you don't get, depending who falls at 11. You can pivot at 30 and take that position. 30 offensive line is Blake Miller, Achane, even a Pregnant can sneak up in there. Alomu, the tackle, if they fall, those are some guys. 43, that's a spot where wide receivers didn't play, edges didn't play like Isaiah Young, Gabe Jackas, wide receivers like Chris Brazel, we talked about, Eli Surratt. 75, and corners at 43, Chris Johnson, Brandon C somehow makes it, Colton Hood somehow makes it. 75 is a Ted Hurst range at wide receiver, a Bryce Lane range at wide receiver. Corner, there's a bunch of corners there. Julian Neal, Dylan Everett, Malik Muhammad. Who else? Igmanoson from Ohio State. 87, same thing. Edges there. You want a Sutton or a Crawford at Auburn fall there. Another offensive lineman, a Dunker, a Jalen Farmer. Then you have 90, 94. One of those could be your quarterback spot. So, again, they moved off 111. They got that, they had 111. They picked up 130. So, basically, a first, a third. Basically, they had pick 30, pick 94, and swapped 111 for 130. So, great trade. They have 7 in the top 100. This is an excellent move for the Dolphins. They got tremendous value. I don't like to pick out as much as 11. I like the LSU corner. He doesn't fit what these guys have been saying. They want a DB, big, fast, and physical. Man, you watch some Mansour Delane tape, though. He gives up nothing. I think he's a Hafley guy. But according to Hafley, guys like Johnson and Muhammad would be a slot in the system, not a boundary. Good point. I think Hafley, I think all these guys will fit under Jeff Hafley, to be quite honest with you, Anthony. I see Muhammad can play in the slot, but I can see him on the outside. Guys like Johnson, outside corner to me. But the bigger guys like Julian Neal or boundary corners, definitely. We talked about Tacario Davis. So, yeah, man, all those guys kind of in that range. So, look, I appreciate all you guys coming in. I think I'm going to end it here. We'll figure out if we're going live again. Man, I appreciate every single one of you guys that joined the chat. Anthony, DSG, Poetic, Brian, Stet, Javon, Jordan. Man, there's so much. I keep going to the DSG, Cap, Jay, man, Jordan, everybody, Perfectville, everybody. Thank you guys so much for joining us on this impromptu show that we had here on Tuesday afternoon. Jaylen Waddle, if you missed it, breaking news, traded to the Denver Broncos for a first, a third, and a swaps of fourths. We swapped our fourth for their fourth. So we picked up really basically a first and a third and a pick swap on fourth. So 7 picks in the top 100 is exciting. We got the ammunition. Now we got to hit our targets. We'll be back live with you guys. Thank you guys so much. Please make sure you remember, hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. We're going to give away these hats and NFL draft caps if we get to 3,000. Come on, we want to get to that push. We appreciate it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you guys so much. We'll be back. We'll see if more moves are made. Thank you guys. As always, guys, stay Fins faithful. We are out.